All right, our next guest is a legendary NFL lineman. He played 16 years, earning Pro Bowl honors in 4 seasons. This guy had more career pancakes than IHOP on Saturday morning. You could see him and the rest of the Amazon Prime studio crew every Thursday night. Catch him on Fitz and Wit with new episodes every Wednesday on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Andrew Whitworth, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Looking forward to it.
I'm happy to have you on the show finally, but also I have no idea why you're doing it a day leading up to, I think it's the biggest NFL matchup in Amazon Prime history, Lions Cowboys, loser leaves town match. Will you be wearing a tuxedo for the big event?
Hey, I thought about it. Hey, I'll say this, I don't like to dress up that you know that. I mean, I like to rock the hoodie. So
Right.
listen, I'll try to keep it as casual as possible. I'm just happy we're inside. Last week in Philly, got a little chilly with the wind. I got here to Detroit last night. It's about 20 degrees. So I'm just excited we're going to be indoors.
Yes, yes. You didn't hear they changed that. They're opening the roof. They want the real elements. They maybe you didn't get that memo, but all right. No,
No.
no, you are going to be nice and cozy. I'm a big Cowboys fan since I was 5 years old, and I appreciate this roller coaster ride Jerry has taken us on this year. I'm sick every other week. Luckily, all my food stayed down on Thanksgiving. How do you see it shaking out Thursday night? Cowboys Lions.
Yeah, you got to think Jerry's walking around with a big chest this last couple weeks. I mean, it's like, hey, some of this is kind of it's gone the direction he said he wanted to go in the sense of
Mhm.
he wanted to build an interior D line that he thought that was more important to their overall success if they could be built that way. And then adding a guy like George Pickens has obviously become a huge thing. I mean, you look at the aliens that him and CD Lamb look like on the edges. I mean, they've done an amazing job. They keep them separated and they make defenses choose which way do you want to turn your leverage, and we're going to throw it to the other one. And I think that has really been something that's brought some life to them. This offensive line, Tyler Booker's obviously been a huge pick to match up with Tyler Smith. Those two dudes are two of the best guards in football, which has been fun because that kind of takes you back to earlier in Dak's career and that offensive
Right.
line he had, the physicality they play with. I think there's a lot going in the Cowboys' favor, and then obviously Quinnen Williams has been on a tear since he got there. It sure seems like he's taking it personal that he got traded and he's out to make an impact. And so I think you're starting to see a bunch of guys on both sides of football having a lot of belief in one another and they're having success. And that only makes that belief get stronger. So I think this is going to be, even though Detroit at home coming off a loss, everything in the world tells you Detroit should win this game. I think it's going to be a tough game for the Detroit Lions because this Dallas team, they believe.
Yeah. Oh man. So another one that's pro Dallas. At least breaking it down. I need people to start taking the Lions. I
Yeah,
just
I'm the
it's too
same way.
much.
I do it on our desk every week. If everybody picks one team, I'm like, oh, here we go. We just set ourselves up. Now we're gonna be on everybody's freaking social media account. We all picked this
Right.
team and they lost. So yeah, I hear you, but I do think this matchup sets up well. You look at Detroit's man coverage, you look at where they've struggled a little bit. Their interior offensive line has struggled this season with health and how they've played. That's been different for them. And that's really something that's been a strength for Dallas with some of these changes. Kenny Clark and some of these guys and the way they're playing, and really Eberflus, give him credit, adjusting to really the guys he's got and saying, hey, let's go some 3D tackle packages. Let's change a little bit how we are and how we operate. I think that you've seen them do that, and I think it's gonna be some problems for Detroit. So, and obviously not having Amon-Ra St. Brown is a massive hit for them. So they've got a lot to figure out tomorrow night, but they still got the same amount of pressure and all the things on the line as Dallas does. And so I think it's going to be a hell of a game because you are going to get Dan Campbell's team that's going to fight you tooth and nail for everything. It's going to be a championship fight, and
Yeah.
Dallas is built for the fight right now.
Yeah, you're right. St. Brown out, probably Laporta out, Terry and Arnold out, cornerback. That's a big with the Cowboys flying, high flying offense right now. That's big. I was talking to Mikey Meatballs, our producer, before you jumped on. We were thinking, Cowboys gotta force one or two turnovers or
Yeah.
keep Jameer Gibbs or Jamison Williams from breaking a 40, 50 yarder. I feel like those are kind of one and the same. If I can cross one of those out, I would sign up for that anyway. But yes, the explosive play potential is just tremendous in this game. You're going to have some fun watching, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing on Detroit's offensive side. Is Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs. Can they create explosives? Because I don't think with Sam Laporta out and Amon-Ra St. Brown out, they're not going to be built to kind of run the play in and play out execution that they've had before with Jared and St. Brown. So I don't think you're going to make Jamison Williams that guy. You're not going to make Jahmyr Gibbs that guy, but they still have massive explosive play potential, and that's what they're going to lean on. So you're going to get more of a gambler mentality. Like, how many plays can we run where we're trying to create explosives, and can Dallas survive those plays? And that's going to be the thing. Does it have to be a turnover? Not necessarily. We got to do one or the other, though. We either got to eliminate some of those explosives, or we
Right.
got to find a way to create a turnover.
All right, there you go. Okay, so the Cowboys win. That's good. We can move on. Switching gears, you are a proud LSU alum, second team All American. You grew up in Louisiana. On a scale of, let's say, 7-day-old stuffing to Abdul Carter's locker room internet viewing habits, how gross was the way this Lane Kiffin job switch handled?
I mean, those are pretty gross right there. Here's what I would say. I don't know if it's gross in the sense of how it's handled as much as it's gross in the timing and the calendar and
Yes.
really where we've let where I think it's gross where we've let college football get. And what I mean by that is that the adults in the room, the people responsible of when these decisions and how these things happen, um, before you can even get into whether Lane Kiffin should or should not do something, why is he even in that situation? And why is there even an opportunity for a coach to take a job and leave their team in the middle of a playoff in this sense? Just like the same way that a years back that you've heard, players worried about their portal status in the middle of the college football playoff and whether
Yeah.
they're even going to be at that school anymore in the middle of a national championship. Like, this is players and coaches. Like, this isn't just Lane. Lane is the biggest name and he's the biggest moment of the current situation. But the fact that we live in a world now in college football that's the reality, to me, that's the gross part. I mean, I'm not here to say what I think Lane Kiffin would have made the same amount of money at either place. I think he'd have success and win games at either place. I think for him, he made a decision that he thinks his greatest opportunity to win national championships and play with the greatest level of talent, maybe the easiest way to have some best talent. I think if we go circle Baton Rouge and New Orleans in that area and some of the talents come out of there, you can't argue with him. I think Nick Saban has voiced that a lot about that area.
Yeah.
So I can't really voice on him making a decision that he thinks best for him. I can say, hey, maybe in that situation, I don't know if I think it'd have been a tough decision to leave just because of how I'm wired and I think what's important to me, right? I think it all comes down to what's important to you. Now, having said that, as an LSU Tiger, I'm freaking jacked he's there, and I'm excited that we have an opportunity to go compete. But I said this earlier. So I think about it this way. When I got to LSU, I was going to Florida. I committed to play for Steve Spurrier.
Hmm.
They hired Nick Saban. Nick Saban came in and told me that I was going to make a 4-year decision that could lead to a 40-year decision if I became an LSU Tiger instead of going to Florida, staying in state, all those things. Well, in those 4 years, I won a national championship, but also in those 4 years, at three and a half of them, Nick Saban left. And
Right.
he went to Miami and took a check to become the coach of the Miami Dolphins. And the reality is that has happened in college football for forever. Yeah,
Yeah.
coaches have been leaving for greater jobs and greater opportunity and more money. That part's not new. It's the part of when it's happening and when it's happening in the calendar, and the fact that we've even allowed this to become something that can become the norm now, is teams getting their coaches stolen in the middle of a college playoff, which is just wild, and it's something we have to fix.
I think you're exactly right. I mischaracterized the question and not how it was handled because really, I don't have a tremendous problem with Lane Kiffin leaving. I think it's because we're used to, like you said, coaches lying to players. And it's like, if the
Yeah,
lie is worth $20 million, you can lie maybe to 20-year-olds. They'll move on with their lives.
yeah.
But the fact is, yes, this calendar has to change. I'm hearing that it's more to do with the coaches. Like the NCAA is like, yeah, we'll move everything back. We'll move the date for when high school players have to commit and everything, such that it won't be a coach being able to leave before the playoffs. But I'm hearing it's the coaches that want their teams intact by January. Why should they be able to run that decision?
Yeah, I think that's crazy, and I think it's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to universities. I mean, I have said this forever. In my opinion, the portal shouldn't be anything that even happens during the calendar year. It should happen in May. And I think
Yeah.
that I've heard Nick Saban touch on this a little bit, that you could, instead of having spring ball, you could implement some version of what the NFL does with OTAs. I agree with that 1,000%. But I've always said it should be in May, because I look at it as an LSU Tiger. I went to LSU, was from Louisiana. I was absolutely miserable. I redshirted my freshman year. I didn't play. I was miserable, and I hated it my freshman year there. But that spring, when I actually got to be a part of the community, I didn't have football obligations, and I got to know people on campus, and I got to experience that. And then I went to spring ball, and my coaches had a plan for me and a belief, and I started to become a better player, and felt like, oh man, I'm gonna become a starter as a redshirt freshman. I fell in love with the school. And my point is that when we give these kids 6 months to figure out whether they like somebody or whether they want to be there, money can easily pull them another direction. Whereas if we
Right.
gave them, like, hey, go commit for a full calendar year to be somewhere, be a part of the community, be a part of something bigger than yourself. Like, learn to know your coaches and create relationships with staff on the school and kids that go there and students. You'll start to love and have commitment to things that don't just have to do with how much money you're getting paid and how many snaps you're playing. And
Mhm.
that's a tough world to live in if that's all you care about. And we're creating bad intangibles by creating these kids to only be driven by that and be led by that. We see it in the NFL all the time. I
Mhm.
see guys sign contracts to go play for teams. They don't know the coach, they don't know the facility, they don't know any of the people there, but their agent told them is the best amount of money. And I think that is the worst way we set up. I think the NFL calendar should change. In my opinion, the window that we have with the 3 days, guys should be able to go visit facilities, meet coaches, and get to know the facilities during that same window that their agent supposedly can't agree to deals. They
Mhm.
should be able to go and tour facilities, because then they're making educated decisions about wanting to be somewhere, not just driven off of money and not just being told where to go and be led. I think, to me, like, guys taking ownership of that part would be huge at college and in the NFL.
You know what? That take, discussing feelings and interpersonal relationships, is far too mature for me. I get it. Good job by you. I'm an idiot who just wants to bet these games. And the NCAA worked so hard to get a playoff system, right? So many years. We had 2 1-loss
Yep.
teams. Well, who's the champ? I don't know. They didn't play each other, so we have no idea. They finally have a playoff system set. And I worry that we're going to see, like, already guys are opting out of bowl games, whatever. That's a pain to try to handicap. But if they start opting out of playoff games, if like a Jeremiah Love leaves Notre Dame because he wants to go to, he commits to LSU like this week, that's a problem. Then we're really up shit's creek. So I don't know. I don't know how you change. You got to change that calendar, though. I think you're right. There's
I
already a
agree.
line on the LSU Ole Miss for next year. 1.5 point favorite going to Oxford.
Oh boy, that'll be
That's
a
going to
fun
be
one.
something. Yeah, that's going to be good. I'm friends with Chef David Chang, who's a regular now on the Thursday Night Football Prime telecast. I know he feeds you guys from time to time. How much would you have weighed if David were your team chef throughout your career for the Bengals and Rams?
Woo, it's a problem, because not only is he a great chef, but all those chefs, they all know each other. So anywhere we
Yeah.
go, he's like, "Oh, we got to go to this guy's place, and we got to go try this food," and then he gets to ordering. And here's the problem: I probably averaged about 330 in my career. I would have definitely been 350, 360, because I love food and he loves food too. And oh man,
Yeah.
I tell you what, I got to do one thing with him in his little kitchen in LA. For our Thanksgiving game, and kind of a promotional deal, and him just
Mhm.
sitting around being like, "Hey, you see that? Hand me that over there. Let me make you something real quick." This, like, 2 seconds, he just whipped something up in a pan, and it'd be like the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. It
No,
was
he's a
unreal. That was
dynamo.
one of my most fun days. Just like in between the actual filming, him just kind of whipping stuff up and asking me to try it. I mean, oh my gosh, it was good.
You're right. We were away for the Masters. We rented a house for a few days, and by the last day, we had no food left. And you're right. He was just grabbing a salt shaker and made a casserole. He's a
Yep.
ridiculous guy. So a few weeks ago, former Lions All Pro center Frank Ragnow announced he was attempting a comeback, and I thought this was brilliant. I was like, wow, you got guys at the end of their career. If they could train and get back into shape, and after retiring, rejoin their team and make a difference down the playoff stretch, Could we see a lot of this? Like, and then he failed the physical. But what do you think about this plan in general? Is this a realistic plan for some retirees?
I think we are seeing an age where I would probably say, especially with the lineman, veteran lineman who's proven and can play the position is very valuable, extremely valuable. And so I think you could see it some, but I think also we see it in quarterbacks, how much longer they're playing. Really, we start to put a window on those guys, man. They can play into their 40s easily. You look at Matthew Stafford, and it's like people keep talking about him retiring, but it's like, man, I think this dude looks like he could play for another 5 years. I mean, I don't see anything slowing down in his game. So I think you will see some guys that can fight back with really just where we are with medicine and health and wellness in the world today, like recovery, everything else. You think of all those things that really lead into why you retired at some
Yeah.
point. I think that really out there right now, you have the ability to recover faster, to heal more, and really, if you take those little breaks, maybe put some attention to your body, that you will see guys come back. I mean, I know for myself, even to retiring at 40. I mean, when I was 41, 42, I still felt like I could go out and play. I still felt good, and I still felt like I could go do it. And we get really close, like, oh man, I think I want to try to say I could do it, and then just it never inevitably kind of struck to go. But now it's been too long, and I don't want to be touched by anybody, and I don't want anybody to touch me. So I have no interest in hitting anyone again.
Really?
So, but yeah, no, it's zero,
What
zero.
if Aaron Donald?
Listen.
What if Aaron Donald called you and was like, "Wait, let's do this. Come on, one last round. We can get a title for the Rams.
Well, that's
6
because
weeks."
I'm scared of Aaron Donald. I'm scared of him, and I would do whatever he tells me to do. So if he calls me and
Okay.
says, "Yeah," then we're back. We're going. But no, it would take something like that. It'd have to be a group of guys that say, "Hey, let's all go do this together." With AD, I would probably do it. I
Okay.
feel like I could still go. I feel great, so I think I could still go, but no interest. I don't want to
Okay.
feel that way again. All right, I can
All
go to
right.
the bathroom in the mornings without holding on to the walls and
How do you
waddling
do
like a
that? I haven't
duck.
done that in years, and I didn't play
Dude,
one
that was
down. Yeah.
my favorite story. 8 months after I retired, I went to the bathroom like maybe in October, November, early in the morning, and I'm like laughing coming out of the bathroom. My wife's like, "You are a psychopath. What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Babe, I just went to the bathroom and took my morning pee, and I didn't have to hold onto a wall. I didn't have to like waddle. It was awesome. Like this is the best I've ever felt in my life. I don't even know the last time I felt like this. I feel like I'm 18. No pain, just can walk to the bathroom in the mornings. And so I was like, this is awesome. I never want to play again. And that's kind of when I knew, like, I'm done. I don't ever want to feel like that again. This is what it feels like to feel normal. So I enjoy it. No chance I'm playing again.
You enjoy a painless pee, but you could fall victim to peer pressure if Aaron Donald comes around. Okay, I like that. You kind of leave it open,
Well,
but
listen, a lot of people are going to fall victim to his peer pressure. Just ask
that's
Jared
right.
Verse.
No kidding. No kidding. All right, listen, I want to give you a free bet for coming on and
Oh,
being
all
so
right.
nice for us. Yes, you could turn the winnings over to Big Wit 77 Foundation. You do great work, right? Offering financial aid to families and scholarships to budding athletes, all terrific stuff. So, where's the money going? Any bet you could go with your Rams to win the Super Bowl at 5-1, or your Bengals to make the playoffs at 8-1, or LSU minus 1.5 over Ole Miss next year, or anything in between. What do you want? MVP? The world is your oyster.
I'm gonna take LSU at Ole Miss next year. Let's
You
go, baby.
are?
Go Tigers. Go Tigers,
Yeah.
baby.
All right. I wonder how much that line will be. I mean, you could have Arch Manning as your quarterback. Who knows what that team's going to look like
Just be ready, baby.
by August. I love that. I love that. By the way, I was looking at Protector of the Year award. You know, that's a new award, right? And they had
Yep.
odds for it in the beginning. You hear about MVP, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not hearing enough. I know this one's near and dear to your heart, but I haven't seen odds change since the beginning of the season. Are we going to see the Protector of the Year on Thursday? Is Penny Sewell? I know he's battling a shoulder injury.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those guys right there on the list. As we've met some this year and talked about it, he's right there. I mean, he's one of the great, really one of the all-time guys that, like, you talk about the young class of tackles. He's one of these guys that you go, man, this guy could be an all-timer. He could be a really special one for a long time. I think a guy like kind of unsung, there's a guy like Aaron Brewer out there for the Dolphins. I mean, he's had, even though the Dolphins haven't had best year, this guy has played unbelievable football. When you talk about just being the best at your position throughout the year, he's done some really special things. I mean, and then you always got your old heads. I mean, you got Trent Williams, you got some of these guys that have just been really good for a long time.
Right.
It's been fun to to watch. So it's going to be fun to me, I think, to be interested. I'm interested to see, do we see a center, a guard, a tackle? Who's really going to come to, at this part of the year, I think when we get to December, especially for linemen. If you're healthy, you're feeling good, I think you start to separate yourself, and so I think this will be a fun ending to the season to see who really goes and gets that first one. First time ever have an offensive lineman up there on the stage at NFL honors, being named the Protector of the Year award. Going to be really cool because the real goal is I hope that inspires that 12-year-old, 13-year-old, those young youth athletes, a desire to want to go play the offensive line position, so we can continue to see that position grow and develop like we have others in this league.
Or does it inspire a 43-year-old to come back and
Come
play?
back,
Now
baby.
that
Come get it. I got to go get it. You're right.
There's another one.
You might be right.
Dangling that carrot. All right, one more thing. I'm going to put you on the spot. This is a segment we call Cousins Conundrum.
Cousins Conundrum.
All right,
Okay.
Andrew, here's what happens. Lane Kiffin calls you. He says, hey, Whit, I need you to be my bodyguard. $10 million a year. It's one of the toughest jobs in the country, especially when we travel to Oxford next year. $10 million already approved by the governor of Louisiana. Only condition is you have to do it dressed in the LSU Tiger mascot uniform. You can only take it off when you're home. Anytime in public, you're Andrew the Tiger. Do you take the deal?
Man, you know what? That actually sounds really fun. I kind of would be in. I mean, to dress as a tiger, that'd be great. I'm in.
Okay.
I think I would take the job.
Really? You're a bodyguard
Yeah.
tiger mascot. All right, I love it. I'm
I
gonna make
mean,
some
listen, I
calls
spent
and
my
we get
whole
this
life
done.
as a bodyguard.
There you go. Andrew Whitworth, the LSU Tiger, Lane Kiffin's Protector of the Year. All right. Fitz and Whit every Wednesday, Amazon Prime. He does a great job at the desk with Carissa, Tony, Richard, Ryan. That's right. I call them all by their first names. You'll see him Thursday night in Detroit, indoors. You won't have to freeze. Andrew, thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it, man. Looking forward to it.